You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, for everybody. Hi, and welcome back to Mighty Blue on the Appalachian Trail, the Camino de Santiago edition. And we are nearly at the end. This is the last week. This is days 28 to day 30, which is a Wednesday. We still hope to finish on Friday, and it has been quite a week. Now, you know, I've been working on this thing, telling you about the number of or miles credit we have every day, or the miles debit we have every day. And we were building up quite a bit of credit, so I was feeling pretty darn good about it. And then I reworked the numbers. I thought, that's not quite right. And it wasn't. Oh, I don't know when I messed it up or whatever it was. But suddenly we found ourselves needing to push on a little bit. So this week has been quite a hard week of hiking, and we've had obviously quite a bit of rain as well. But you know what? We're getting there, and I'm not going to ruin it and tell you how far we've actually got yet. But I think we're going to start here with day number 28. Day 28. Tria Costella, mile 399.9 to Sarria, mile 415, which is 15.1 miles, and I would normally tell you that was a debit and total credits, blah, 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 but I'm not going to tell you that because I messed up. We had breakfast, as we did the day before, in Tria Costella, and this time, of course, we were heading out, going forward again, and it was not raining. The forecast for the whole week was meant to be terrible rain, and you know what? I think I've discovered what I don't like hiking in, and it is rain. And we had literally on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, on that Monday morning, forecast for 100% rain, chances of rain on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that wasn't encouraging. So we headed out, and it wasn't raining. We follow the crowd, and there are two alternatives. One is to go on another path to a monastery at Samos, I think it is. And the other one, the shorter route, is not to go to the monastery. And we took the one not to go to the monastery. And you know what? I'm not sure. I mean, we took the shorter path, but my gosh, it was uphill. And we really started going up and up and up and up. And it was, as it got more intense going uphill, the rain began. And then the rain got stronger. And really, you know, I don't know. I'm just not really equipped for strong rain. I've got my waterproof, which always proved itself not to be terribly waterproof. And I must say, I knew it was always going to be a bit of an issue that I just wasn't going to cope terribly well with rain. And we've been lucky so far with that rain, but you know, we did work out something towards the end of the week. So I'll tell you about how we worked that out later on. We went through a couple of tiny villages, and as usual, Emma and I were very eager to stop and have a beer and a coffee, but there was nothing. But then we came to a small place called Montan, Montan, and it looked like another nothing town. And we just turned a corner, and I could see some people stopping and looking in somewhere. There was a kind of cowshed, or it was like a commune in a cowshed. And do you know what? It was a cowshed, and it was attached to what looked like a probably deserted, but people were, I think they were squatting in it. About 8 youngsters, probably in their 20s. Really nice, helpful people, and they made the whole thing so friendly. They converted this thing into a very cozy donativo. There were armchairs, battered old armchairs around. There was a fire, there was food, and there was coffee, and this young man was going around solicitously asking everybody, would you like a coffee? Can I help you? You know what? These are great kids. They were just having a blast. we spoke to a couple of people who said that they'd been hiking the Camino and got to this place 3 months ago and stayed. They seemed very, very sort of happy to be there. So we were just hanging about there because it was still raining and pouring down outside. And to be honest with you, we had to set out. So we headed out again, and the rain was making it very, very, very miserable. I haven't got waterproof trousers, pants, on either of my pants. I think they're water resistant for about 3 seconds, and then they start getting wet. And my underpants were getting wet. And I tell you, I don't care how old you are, when your underpants start getting wet, that is not a good feeling to have. Eventually we found a bar just off the road, and we had a beer and a bite to eat with Martha and Tim, of course, and amongst other people we always know. And that was nice just to hang out with them. They actually, I think, then bought another beer or had a coffee just to hang out with us a bit longer because the weather was pretty lousy outside by now. In the end, and normally Martha and Tim wander off themselves, but we actually walked with them, all the way to Soria, getting more and more soaked, absolutely drenched. And we finished by, 2:30 in the afternoon. I had a bath. And because Emma and I said we'd go out to get the menu del dia. The menu del dia is normally served until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Then you can't really get a menu till about 8:30 that night. So I had a bath rather, and I fell asleep at the bath, and my own snoring woke me up in the bath. I've just about got out in time. We just about got down to our hotel bar cafe at about 5 to 4. You can see the staff were not happy to carry on serving, but we got our menu del dia just in time. But then, because we realised how we'd actually passed an outfitter coming into the town, we realised how, frankly, unprepared we were for rain. So we thought, well, and we've seen lots and lots of ponchos on this trip, so let's try to get a poncho. So we went out to get these ponchos, and there was only one, what they call waterproof, and I don't know how waterproof some of these things are really, but there was one size fits all waterproof. Well, it would never have fitted me, but it fitted Emma. It was a bright orange. She looked like a traffic cone, so that was quite funny. So of course I let Emma take it anyway, and I bought myself another jacket which said it was waterproof, but it was €35, which is about 40 odd bucks. I can't imagine how waterproof it really could have been. But you know what? I felt that at least we were slightly more prepared than we had been. And I think that if I had one extra layer of waterproofing, that might help because my bag had got pretty wet. And I did have a so-called waterproof pack cover on. I don't know what the answer is to waterproofing. And I need to research this more when I go on the AT. I mean, it doesn't bother me that much really, but you know, it's kind of uncomfortable, as I say. When your underpants get soaked. So that was day 28. And really, if any of you got any solutions to this, staying dry is surprisingly important. I'd forgotten actually how much I disliked being in the rain. I mean, it's okay. You know, I'm happy in my tent in the rain. That's not a problem. But really, walking along and just getting parts of yourself wet through is kind of unpleasant, especially when it's quite cold outside. So let me know. But now let's go on to day number 29. Day number 29, our 5th week. Soria, mile 415 to Castramayor, mile 434.4. which was 19.4 miles. I'd normally tell you it was a 3.95 mile credit, blah, 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 but I'm not going to tell you that anymore because we needed to put that mileage in to make this journey accessible. I wanted to get to Melide, Melide, by Wednesday evening, and to facilitate that, we had to go further than Porto Marin, which would have been the sort of expected stop. But no, we had a fantastic day, 19.4 miles, you know. When we were heading out of town in the morning, I told you earlier on, I'd already bought this, red jacket, and I was wearing this red jacket, and it was it was spitting a little bit. It wasn't too bad at all. But we saw another gear shop. We hadn't seen this one the day before. So we saw this other gear shop, and I went in there, and they did have a poncho for me. So I bought this red poncho, which once again said it was waterproof. It was the same manufacturer who actually made my so-called waterproof jacket. So in 2 days, I bought myself a waterproof jacket and a waterproof poncho, neither of which I had much confidence was particularly waterproof. But I bought it anyway, just in case. And you know what? I don't know what it is. People told us if I put it on the poncho, it means the rain won't come. So I put on my poncho and headed up this steep hill out of town. Now, I had the waterproof jacket on and I put the poncho on top of it. So it's 2 layers of plastic. I tell you what, I had so many problems with temperature adjustment. I actually found I had that problem a lot on the Appalachian Trail as well. But because I had these 2 layers of plastic, I had a shirt, had my so-called waterproof jacket, and then my so-called waterproof poncho. It wasn't actually raining, and we were going uphill. Man, I was steaming by the time we got to our first stop off. Once again, bumping into Martha and Timmicles. It was raining then on, then off, then on, then off again. And we started to get, once I'd stopped, and met up with everybody and I'd taken my waterproof jacket off and I just had my waterproof poncho on. I was steaming, literally, the steam coming off me. I was in a bit of a state, actually. You know, I was overheating dramatically. I needed to get this temperature adjustment right. But we started again. I said rain was on and off all the time, and every now and then I can put my hood down. And my poncho has such a big hood. I got a double extra large poncho because I'm a pretty big guy. I don't know what sort of size head they're expecting people to have with double XL, but my head was swamped in this thing, and the hood kept falling over my eyes, so I couldn't see a darn thing. It was a nightmare, actually. We've had a shop with trinkets about 5 kilometers outside Porto Marin, and it had stopped raining by then. We were pretty tired by now. You know, we'd done quite a bit already, and we knew there was 5 kilometers to go to get into Porto Marin. We hadn't actually booked anywhere for that night, so we didn't really know where we were going to stay or what we were meant to be doing. Emma was looking at the trinkets, and I said, look, we've got 5 kilometers to Porto Marin, or we've got, I think it was 12 kilometers to a place called Gonzar, Gonzar. And that would have been a pretty good place to get to, if we could get that far, to allow us to get to Malid the next day, which is, as I'm recording this on Wednesday, which is today. So we start heading down into Porto Marin, and there's a very, very sharp descent. And I was starting to get pain in my shins. People talk of shin splints. I don't really actually know what they are, but it was really starting to hurt me going downhill. We got down towards Porto Marin, and there's this long, really long, one of the longest, in fact, the longest bridge we've crossed in all of Spain. And it goes from one side across this wide river. Absolutely magnificent bridge. We loved going across that. Well, I did anyway. Emma was terrified. She can't stand the heights. And it does make you look a bit, you do get a bit giddy looking down into the river, from that bridge. But it was a beauty. So the signs pointed left when we got across the bridge, and we assumed they'd take us into town, but they just led uphill and out of town. And we were talking to ourselves. I said, look, now we've started this, why don't we just try to get to Gonzar? It's another 7 kilometers. We were getting tired and hungry, to be honest with you. So let's just keep going. But it was all uphill, and it was tough, but they had really nice off-road paths. And we've noticed this since Soria. The roads or paths are so much better since Soria. And I think it's because this Compostela, this thing you get for completing this hike, you can actually get it by starting at Soria, with about 100 kilometers to go. If you walk the full 100 kilometers, you can get your Compostela for that. So for people with limited time and just want to get this Compostela, which is the religious part of this trip, you can do it by starting at Soria. But we've noticed a big improvement in these paths. And there were some beautiful, beautiful, tree-lined paths, which actually helped because the rain was now coming down. We were getting wetter and wetter and wetter. I must say my poncho was helping us and helping me and Emma's was helping her. They're not perfect, and I'm doubting that they're actually waterproof, but I still had dry underpants, which is a good thing, as far as I'm concerned anyway. Anyway, we came to the sign that we were in Gonzo, and we could see these buildings ahead. We thought, well, we must hit it soon. We kept going. Oh my God, we thought we'd missed it. Anyway, we eventually came across this Oberg, and there was a guy in there, didn't speak much English, and he kept apologizing for it. The English-speaking people are so lucky that the rest of the world tries to speak English. And he said, we're closed. There's nobody here. And Gonzar appeared to be entirely closed. But he said to us, there's a place called Alberg Ortiz in Castra Mayor. And so he said, it's another kilometer. Well, Emma and I were all in, and we said, well, look, we just got to go somewhere. I couldn't find any hotels around at all. But we got to Castra Mayor. We got to this Alberg Ortiz. We got in there, had a beer, and I checked for a hotel somewhere, and I found a place back in Porto Marin. So what do? We booked it and went back in a cab. Great place. I can't remember what it's called. Hotel de Loyo, I think it's called. And it's actually it's away from Porto Marin. It's about 2 kilometers out of town. And such a really good restaurant, a great steak. I had a really good starter. I forgot what that was called as well. No? Oh yeah, no. I had garlic prawns, which was terrific. Then I had a bucket load of cheese afterwards. So we really ate well. So we did what we've done before. We've gone backwards. Our mileage walked was taking us to Castra Mayor. So it was another pretty darn good day, 19.4 miles. And we were set up to get to Melide on Wednesday, which was today. So, despite my best efforts to calculate how many miles we should have been doing every day, we were starting to get back on track. We'd been putting in some pretty good days, and the plan had been to get from Soria to Melide in 2 days, which was something like 37 or 38 miles. That would leave us just 52 kilometers, which is about 32 miles to go to get to Santiago on Friday, which was our plan. I messed it up. I don't know what I did wrong, but, we were kind of, by working so hard on that, if we could get to Melide by Wednesday evening, which is today, then we were really on track. So let's find out if we got there. Day 30. Castra Mayor, mile 434.4 to Melide, mile 453, a total of 18.6 miles. Man, we've worked hard to do this. When I thought we had a bit of leeway, we didn't, and we've really worked hard to get back to where we needed to be. We had breakfast at 8 o'clock before the taxi. Once again, these guys turn up right on time, and I'm so glad I've been able to do this because it's worked out great for us. It was about a 10-minute cab ride, 10 euros, 12 euros, something like that. And we were back to Castra Mayor. And do you know what? It was great again to see what we'd walked. I said this the other day, even though this was only from Porto Marin to Castra Mayor, we'd gone a lot uphill on the end of yesterday. We'd really put ourselves in a position, so we'd really worked hard to do it. And as I've said it a few times, I sometimes feel really accomplished by the end of these days, thinking to myself, I've done better than I expected to. And that's a really good feeling to have. I really enjoy it. And Em feels the same as well. But of course, it started to rain. And it didn't look like it was going to stop at all. Forecast once again wasn't great, so we just had to set out. And we continued on this tree-lined pathway. We're really enjoying these pathways. They're absolutely glorious. And once again, the improvement in the paths is very, very noticeable. There were very few people actually on the trail today, and I'm guessing that even those who can take advantage of trying to get their Compostela from Soria, because they probably saw the forecast for the week, they probably didn't really fancy getting on the trail in all this rain. But, I've said several times how lucky we've been, and it looked like the forecast for this afternoon, having gone from 100% rain in the afternoon, it had gone down to about 20% rain in the afternoon. In fact, they said the rain was going to stop at 1:45 p.m. Well, it stopped earlier than that. We had beautiful sunshine. We had this rain for a while. I had my poncho on. It was keeping me dry, keeping my underpants dry still. That was good, all good news. And we kept walking, and it would go sunny. Then the rain would start. We'd put our hoods up and walk another couple of 100 yards, and then it would stop again. This 100k Compostela is it's still a test. I still think, we've walked 800 and something kilometers, but 100 kilometers is a long way to walk as well. And some people, and I have seen a couple of people doing it, not that many. I've seen a couple of people doing it, and they are very slow because they're just starting, I guess. But we actually saw some people walking along yesterday praying as they walked. And I suspect they're going to pray all the way through to Santiago. It's kind of moving to see that sort of thing, from my point of view anyway. So we were pushing for Melide, and we were working really, really hard to get there. Along the path, and we've only started paying a lot of attention to them recently, they got these concrete marker posts with the sign of the Camino and the direction to go. It's really helpful so you could see where you're going. But what they also have is the precise kilometers to Santiago. And now we're under 100. I'm just shouting out the number every time it goes down one. We started the day today at about 82 kilometers to go, I believe it was 81 or 82 kilometers. So every time we go, it would say 81.9. I shout at 81. And Emma was up the road. She'd kind of acknowledged that I shouted. Or perhaps she's embarrassed about it. I don't know. And so I'm just shouting these down. We like to stop for lunch at around 2:00, but nothing was open at all. And we even lost each other once. We were in a town where we should have stopped for lunch at about 1:30. And I looked at the map. I thought there's bound to be another little town where we can get something to eat. But we kept walking and walking and walking. And Em was ahead of me in this bigger town. And she suddenly phoned me up. She said, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm on the Camino." And she said, "I've been waiting for you and you haven't come." So I said, "I think you've gone wrong." So there was a coffee bar, and I sat down by this coffee bar. 5 minutes later, she showed up. She'd gone past a turning. You have to pay attention to these signs. They're there. They're readily available, but you have to be careful, make sure you follow them all the way. And she's just gone slightly wrong, but we met up again, a few minutes later, and I was sitting in this coffee bar having a coffee. We should have eaten then, but we just kept walking and walking and walking. And then we found a town, once again, one of these things, which is about 5 houses, and about 20 dogs. And it was called Casanova. And we weren't hopeful that there was going to be anything at all. Suddenly we saw a little chalkboard, announcing food. So we went straight into this garden, and it was like somebody's back garden. They served a truly gorgeous fish stew. And I love fish stew anyway, but this was one of the was the finest I've had on this trip so far. And we didn't want a huge amount of food, but we were running out of gas by now. We were getting tired. We knew we wanted to eat octopus in Melide tonight. So we had this fish stew and some bread, and that really served us well. And then having had a dearth of, places to stop at, there must have been 6 or 7 in the next mile and a half. We could have stopped at tons of places. There are about 5 in Casanova. I've no idea why it worked out that way at all. I don't know. But as I say, we got there, And, I mentioned those signs with the kilometers counting down. I'd say 82, 81, then 70 something, then 69, then 59. We've stopped at Melide with about 52 kilometers to go. And tonight we're treating ourselves to the best octopus in Spain, just a few blocks away. Looking forward to it a lot, and looking forward to the next 2 days as well. So that's the last 3 days. And, I think on every hike, you have to adapt what you're doing and what you expect to get out of your hike. I've done a calculation. I screwed up. I didn't mean to, but I did. And I thought we had a lot in hand, but it was clear that we didn't have a lot in hand. And the fact that we caught up and we're now in Melide in the position where we want to be, where we can actually do only about 15.5 miles tomorrow or 16 miles tomorrow, which is less than the last couple of days. And then on the last day, on the Friday rather, we can do that last 15.5, 16 miles into Santiago, which allows us to then stay the night in Santiago and then enjoy the day looking around Santiago and looking at the cathedral in much more detail on Saturday. And hopefully there'll be a pilgrims mass. Now, as I'm not religious, but I respect all traditions and all religions. And I'd love to be a part of that mass if they have one. If they don't, that's fine. I know what a mass does. I've been to mass before. And I'm kind of looking forward to it if we can get there. It's been a tough week. The rain has surprised me how impactful it is. And I think it has proven to me that hiking in rain is not the fun it really should be. And I think I need to rethink this when I come to do the Appalachian Trail, if I do the Appalachian Trail in 2019, and that's the current plan, how I'm going to cope better with rain. I found it was quite dispiriting. And I know the times when I was caught in rain on the Appalachian Trail, I was probably better prepared for some reason. I don't really know why, but I need to think that through a bit better. But we're 30 days in, just hopefully 2 more days to go, and we fly back to the UK on Saturday afternoon. But I don't know what else to say to you, really. I think I'm kind of lost for words how impactful this has been to me. Spending this time with my niece, Em, has been such a treat. I love her dearly anyway. And this has just strengthened that love. I think she's a great girl. She's really worked hard with this. She's complained mightily about everything, but that's fine. I don't care. I laugh a bit, but she's been in pain a few times. And sadly, actually, her foot started developing another blister. Can you imagine? A few days before the end. My feet are fine. I think taking 2 ibuprofen a day is really helping me. And we have a few beers and perhaps a bit of wine on the way as well. That sort of helps. And I know I find when I get to the end of the day, I'm tired, but I'm still walking. And I'm looking forward to these last 2 days immensely. And when you hear the show on Monday, I'm going to do a sort of summary as well. And, all I can say is Emma and I will see you next time.